Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Roster drama continues here in the VCT with Boaster giving his response to the Derke situation, especially given it does not seem like Derke's coming back to Fnatic anytime soon, but also Riot responding to none other than Sentinel's TenZ, who has been giving lots of complaints over the last couple of seasons really as to the quality of the PCs they're using at the big tournament. It's been a big complaint for many pro players, and now Leo Farrier and Riot Games say, you know what, we're listening, we are going to upgrade all the PCs going into the new season. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. This is something interesting to note here with Vise, that given the nature of the wall that arises, if you plant the spike in a certain position whereby the wall will get in the way of allowing the player to stay in that spot, it's actually impossible to defuse the spike, which is, well, makes Vise even more powerful than arguably she already is. Definitely an agent that I think Drew Spark from Sentinel said that absolutely he's expecting her to be used in competitive play when the time comes. We'll see, though, whether the season begins and all of a sudden we're getting the nerfs coming through. Let's talk about yesterday. Inspire, of course, formerly known as Baby J. He was playing in the NA qualifier with TSM for the Red Bull Homegrounds, and they played in the first round against YFP Gaming, the team that eventually won it in the end, and they 2-0'd every other team they played. But the TSM game was competitive. Inspire, as he's known now, right, had a pretty solid series actually here on the Cypher. Certainly using the Cypher on the bind was pretty unorthodox, but TSM won this in an impressive second side 13-11, and after that YFP took over 39 and 15-13 on a crazy overtime sunset. So, you know, I think a pretty good showing really, all things considered. YFP eventually go on to get the win here. Inspire was subbing in for the team, but you know, nonetheless a decent showing. Of course, it's always nice to win, but losing a 15-13 overtime to the team that went through will of course be massively frustrating, but at the end of the day shows that they're solid performances there. And as he says, lost to YFP 2-1, good map 1 and 3, Lotus attack, I forced too many plays, you know, fun to shake off the rust or whatever. Good stuff for letting me sub into the roster. Jake and the boys eventually get the job done, and I thought it was cool to see Jake back in business, right, because we know that after the Cloud9 stuff he was eventually going to retire, call it a day, step away from competitive VALORANT, and you know, never return. That was his initial plan. Then he said, you know what, probably it makes sense for me to keep going on this, because we know he was talented enough to make it work, and that's what we're seeing here. So you know, cool that obviously the Sentinels are going to be playing in this one, and Cloud9 seemingly going to be playing in this one with Zephyr and Zelsis getting at it as well, and they qualified for that LAN, that Homegrounds tournament in Seattle, by winning this North American qualifier, and as Stella says, I subbed in for those guys and won the online qualifier, so fantastic stuff. So good to see Stella and Jake and these other guys back in business, and we'll see how they fare in a few weeks time, of course. This, by the way, is EMEA Ascension, where, well, I'm just going to kind of keep you guys updated what's happening here, because the group stages are still ongoing, and they will go on until the 5th of September, and after that we then get the playoffs, where the winner of the European side is confirmed. So, you know, early days really here, but the group stages are obviously massively important to determine who's actually going to get through to the playoffs. And, well, Mouse, after their incredible victory yesterday, they went down yesterday, so they're now 1-1. Apex, of course, an organisation that was massively close to getting it done before. They are certainly in the mix again. Dapper as well in a pretty interesting position. Of course, he was on the Oxygen esports team, and Oxygen, I don't know if they've actually said it officially. I mean, I guess we can go on their page to see if they've actually tweeted anything about it. I don't believe they actually have, yeah, which is interesting, I'm not going to lie, on what Oxygen are doing and what they're thinking about doing. But the reality is we know that they're disbanding their VALORANT project. Every single player on that roster has announced it, and Dapper says they're disbanding it, but they've not actually announced it yet. There's just rumours that entire organisation is going to cease to exist very shortly, and well, if that's true in VALORANT, which it seems to be, then it might well be true in other esports as well, which is interesting for, you know, Call of Duty and stuff they have going on over there. But as Tavo says, looking for a team for the next season, and it was really nice that he put together a nice message actually for all of the players that he was teaming with. This, especially to Verno, I thought was pretty, well, very high praise from Dapper, of course, who's a great player historically in his own right. Calls Verno a prodigy, well beyond his age and his discipline. We'll see you lifting trophies. I can't wait to see you do it. So this is why, if you are Bonkar, for example, who was the former head coach of this team, we believe is joining NRG, that's why if I'm Bonkar, I'm looking at some of these guys, the likes of Verno, potentially the likes of Scuba or Redux or whatever, and you know, as he says, at Verno, and basically all his teammates, just to give a nice little sentiment really as to exactly what these guys were doing. So I thought that was very nice, and wishing Dapper the best absolutely going forward straightforward as well. This is from Ethan, preparing for Rostermania. Who knows what's going to be happening over there at NRG, but I did want to share this quick clip here from, well, Boaster, when he was asked the question, what is going on with the Derke situation, right? Why have you dropped him, especially you, Boaster, like, why are you getting rid of him? I also do wonder whether this will be the last change we see from Fnatic. Is it going to be a straightforward one-man move? Derke for... I think Sliggy said they're looking for some sort of tier 2 duelist that apparently lots of teams are interested in, and that's potentially what they're going to be looking to, you know, hire in the near future. So if that happens, great for them, but also maybe they need to make another change as well. Whether a one-man move is enough, who knows? But yeah, Boaster gives his perspective, and it just doesn't seem as it sounds that Derke's coming back anytime soon.
Coach Mini, why you kick Derke? What'd you say, bro? What'd you say?
Last round in the half.
Knock you out, bruv. Don't think because you're back at home now doesn't mean I won't knock you out. Because I will. You think I'm scared of anyone? I already kicked Derke. You think I'm scared?
Go.
Think I care about winning? Doesn't look like it.
Got you, bruv.
Oh, I broke my fucking camera. Are you okay, Derke? My nan cried, by the way.
The hero, I'll give him that. I'll
No,
still
not
kill him.
Derke, go kill. Barely watches the game. But she knows Derke's her favourite player. A lot of people cried. All I see on Twitter right now is just a post. Next year, I'm on your side, that is true. I don't blame you. That's why I need to get training. If you're gonna come to my site, I need to make sure I'm ready. I need to choose a crosshair. I need to choose a mouse mat. I need to choose a mouse. Stick with it.
You wanna fight today?
Oh, I've gone to my default spot. This is my default spot every game. I just go here.
Of course, with Derke being gone and therefore available from this roster, then you got to wonder where he might go next, which other organizations, you know, organizations might well be interested. But of course, a buyout on this number would be relatively substantial, you would well imagine. This was pretty interesting as well here. So Neil Zinho, coach of the Heretics team, said that PaperX also offered to scrim them like they did to Edward Gaming. And I think even Kankan yesterday was playing with the PaperX bundle, having bought it in his hands, just because they give PaperX a lot of credit for their results and their victories at the end of the season, right? Edward Gaming were not looking that good, and PaperX said, hey, we'll practice against you guys, we'll help you get better in this type of stuff. That's what they did, and it worked out massively well for Edward Gaming. Apparently, Team Heretics had the same offer, and, you know, so maybe had they taken it up, or they'd done a bit more of that, maybe they'd have been the one lifting the Champions Trophy. But yeah, just PaperX, such a fascinating team because they seem to have such an impact on the scene in multiple ways. But for whatever reason, that playstyle, when it comes down to the big tournaments, just hasn't worked, and, you know, maybe will never work based on what we have recently seen. But let's talk about this drama, right? So TenZ has made it very clear for a long time, and he's actually made the statement on stream a lot, the fact that, look, they won't be happy that I'm saying this, but TenZ can say it because he has the platform to say it, and he's not going to get, like, cancelled or whatever, or shot down like some of the other players would. I'm sure lots of players feel this way, and it's not just a Valorant issue. But TenZ was making the point how the equipment that they have for the major international events is nowhere near up to standard for the modern day. It can run the game, but that's about all it can do. The PCs that the players have at home are far more powerful than what Riot are using for the big tournaments. I feel like a large part of what it might be is the equipment they're using is fine for League of Legends, generally speaking, but for Valorant it's a bit of a different story, and they're using the same stuff, and therefore it's created problems. And, you know, TenZ was saying that last year at Champions, last year at Masters, they complained about the quality of the equipment, the frame rates they were getting, and some of the other problems associated with that. Even the refresh rate on the monitors, stuff like this, which just wasn't good enough to compete with what they were trying to achieve. And this year at Champions, after making all those complaints, it was the same problem, and TenZ was making it very clear that he's not happy with that. So Leo Faria from Riot has heard these complaints, understandably, and you know, made these statements to TenZ saying, look, we're going to sort it. And he actually followed up here on the Reddit yesterday to say the following. To add a little bit of colour here, the setup we used for these past few years is good enough to run Val, as I say, just about, but it is indeed coming to the end of its life cycle. So pros have a point. Our global fleet upgrade follows a schedule, and the next one is set to happen this this October. So it was apparently happening anyway, the upgrades they were going to do. I'm not saying this to take anything away from his comments. Pro's feedback can at times light a fire under us, and I appreciate them holding us accountable. So, you know, I think a good response there really, because it is a major concern among the players and also among the fans how they've managed this whole situation, Riot. And they are saying, look, thanks to TenZ and the players for making sure that we actually do update this. He did say that they were going to do this anyway. And of course, then the question is, well, they're upgrading their fleet, as they describe it as. But you know, what exactly is that? What is this upgrade? Is it the absolute top of the line, best of the best stuff? Or is it still stuff that's going to be a couple of years old, and that in a couple of years' time, the players are still going to be complaining about? I mean, the players are probably going to complain anyway. This is naturally how it is. Unless they have, you know, 455 frames per second on a 360 hertz monitor, they're always going to be complaining about something, right? Because they're always going to want more frames and always going to want more refresh rate on the monitors. But there's only so much you can do at some point. But it should probably have been better than it was. I think that's the feeling now from both sides. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Just a couple of interesting things to close out with. All-time VCT stats. These are, maybe we looked at this yesterday, but it's still interesting to note really. All-time kill leaders per 24 rounds at internationals. Ye is still leading the line with 21.5. Then Kang, then Derke, then Demon 1. Zekken is just on the outside here now of the top 5. All-time assist leaders. Mako is leading the line here by quite some way. So a very different selection of players here, as you might understand. But very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.